In this video tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how you can take advantage of the ChatGPT public API in your Flutter application. You can pretty much use it in any of your application, native Android, native iOS application, because the API, the REST API endpoints are publicly available, and then anybody can take advantage of that. But in this video tutorial, I'm going to be you know using ChatGPT as a chatbot assistant. We're going to be building that with Flutter. This is basically a one file application, so pretty much everything we're going to be doing is inside this file, inside our main.dat. And because it is not a Flutter tutorial, because I would expect that whoever will be watching this video would have some experience working with Flutter. So because of that, I have already, in order not to waste much of our time, I'd already created the Flutter project, and also tried to do some setup, in order not, I want to make the video as short as possible, because the focus of this tutorial is actually on how you can take advantage of the ChatGPT open, their public API. Okay, so while I wait for my emulator to start up, this is the ChatGPT API we're going to be consuming. It's the api.openapi.com version 1 chat, then completion. Much of their text APIs, their text API are available through this completion endpoints. So we have completion for chat, and then we have a general completion. I've been playing around with them. This is the general completion. This is basically for this uses it's not limited to a single model, basically. So you pass it the model you want to use. This is more generic, that's what I'm trying to say. But then this is specific to charts. That's why you have a version 1 and charts. And then the body of the request, like I said, it's a publicly available endpoint that you can consume. But then you have to have an account with OpenAI, and then maybe as a developer, and then you generate a token to be able to take advantage of that. I'm going to show you that. Okay, so this is my account. I've created an account with OpenAI. If you haven't done so, you go to openai.com, and then maybe developer, and then it brings you to this platform.openai.com. Then you go to their documentation, quick start. So I have my account here. You can view your API keys. You can generate new API keys. So I've generated 2 API keys, and then it's important to note that once you create a new API key, I'll do that very quickly so that I can delete it afterwards, just for the sake of this tutorial. Now, it is important to note that when you create this key, you will only be able to see the full keys once, which is this time that you have created it. And if you do not copy it, you may not be able to access the API again. So it is important that you know to copy this API key, and then you tap on OK, and then you notice here. Okay, please note we do not display your secret API keys again after you generated them, so it is important that you have copied it. So I will again, my account is a personal account, which means it's okay. So this is the application we're going to be building. Let me close this other guy I'm not using. Are we ready now? Why is my emulator taking long? Okay, so that's my API key. I sorry, API key. I declared it somewhere. Okay, let's just do that right here. Okay, sorry. Like I said, it's a single page application, so I'll be writing the HTTP request inside this um, body here. Okay, so that's that. Um, all right, so I'll just quickly explain. Um, Again, you generate your token, and then we can you can check out the examples here. You have a Q&A based, question and answer based, you know, examples. You have grammar correction, you know, text to command, English to other languages. These are the APIs that are available. Then there is natural language to OpenAI API, SQL translation. There is movie to emoji, you know, uh, there are just so many of them. Then there's the friendly chat, which is the one we'll be um, basically taking advantage of. So there's the friendly chat. There's an example. You can test them. This is the base URL, then with the endpoint, that's the completion, and then this is the sample body. So in this case, you're going to say, "This is me," a prompt. What have you been up to? And then, you know, like that. And then, because the endpoints are completion, so the way I think of it is that um, you start a conversation, and then based on what you pass to it, its response will be a completion of yours. That's the explanation that I can give. So if you notice these examples, where's my postman? Okay, so these are sample conversations I've been having with the OpenAI. So the first request is this guy. Like I said again, let me the authorization again, it's bearer token, so I've passed the token generated here. And so this is the body. The body has basically two, you know, I'll say two properties. That's the model that you'll be testing with. So as of now, there's GPT 3.5. They had just recently, about a week ago, released ChatGPT 4, but then that is not publicly available yet. You know, so I was trying to register for the waiting list here, but then, so as at the time of this recording, we currently just have Chat and GPT 3, you know, that is publicly available for test, and you know, to so okay, let me cut this guy out. So this is how the request body is going to look like. You it is expecting a model, which tells it the model you are, you know, trying to you know, leverage on. And then there's the messages. Messages is a list of the back and forth conversation that you're having with the AI. So if I send this, my role is that of a user. Now the bot will have the role of an assistant. So my role is that of a user, and then the bot, its role is that of an assistant. So if I send this message, "Can I meet you?" Why is my network this poor? Okay, so the model replying me is the GPT-3 tuber with this guy, and then it is telling me this is, you can see that it is also replying with a message. You have all these other um, you know properties, id, objects created, that's the date it's created, the model, then the usage, then the choices. The choices are um, like the responses that it's generating. So you have a message. So now the role, again, the message is the same with mine. Here I have a message body with role and content. It also has, its response is inside the message with role and content. So it's telling me the role is that of an assistant, and it's telling me about itself as an AI language model, blah blah blah, like that. Now, if I want to continue this conversation, what I need to do is copy its response here. I believe you can see what I'm doing. So I copy from this the message value, and then I'll paste it right here. Okay, let me format this properly. Okay, and then again you can continue your chat with the okay. So my role, again, you can notice, so for the messages, this is my message, this is its reply to the first message, and then to make it look like a chart with an history, you have to kind of always append the response of the AI to your messages so that it flows. And then you can ask other questions here. Can you give me suggestions on how to make my YouTube channel grow? Okay, so again I sent this guy, and you can continue your conversation in the same line of thought. The reason this is important is so that the AI has a context. So if you're having a conversation around the same line, let's say you start, oh, like we asked, can I meet you? And then he tells me this. If there's anything that is not clear about his response, you can then, proceed to ask for further clarifications. And it is able to, based on the previous, messages, be able to get the context and give, the appropriate response like that. So now, okay, so it's going to give you, oh, sure, here are some suggestions to help you grow your YouTube channel, and then it's going to give you, intelligent suggestions like that. And then now you can, if you are still following this line, again you have to copy this message. It is not necessary if you don't want the if you are not expecting that the rest your subsequent questions, or the subsequent question you'll be asking the AI, if it's not going to need to derive a context from previous conversation, then you don't have to append that to your messages. But then I like to do that. So that's the same concept we're going to be following in this video tutorial. So I'm trying to show you from Postman. This is a REST client that helps us to test out APIs, understand the structure of the responses before we proceed to use them in our code. I'm having trouble starting my emulator, so I'm going to quickly pause this video and set that up properly.